Alright, going live.
Sure, everything's turned on. It's almost a daily basis now where I get these text messages that it's like, Donald Trump Jr. here. Pelosi is terrified. They're gaining momentum. Donate to the cause.
Donate to our lawyers to keep us out of jail because everybody else has gone in jail.
Block number. Block.
All right. Ready when you guys are.
Ready.
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 Egon.
Ready.
What's up, folks? This is the Making Geeks podcast, a podcast for makers, dads, and geeks, episode 193. On that countdown,
7 more.
yep, we just might make it. How you guys doing? What you been up to?
It's the first full week of kids in virtual school for the entirety of their school day, like what is defined as their new school day. It's tiring. It's tiring. I'm tired for them as much as they have to be in front of a screen.
That is my life.
Yep. But besides that, things are great. If that's all I can complain about, that's pretty good, I guess.
It's only been a week, but how are the kids doing? Are they adjusting? Are they hating every minute of it?
They're pretty flexible as it is. I think they'll get through it. I think we maybe put more pressure on the situation than they do, because we are aware of the things that they're possibly missing out on, like as far as like experiences at certain milestones that may be flying by them they don't realize, and it's more, I think, taxing on us as parents than maybe them right now, I think, in many ways.
Yeah, for my kids, it's a little bit different. We just finished our third week of school already, and the kids have kind of gotten used to it.
Mm-hmm.
The social aspect, they're still missing out on a lot. But
Sure. Yep.
what makes it even worse is that we don't live, near where they would typically go to school. We just, still live 20 miles away, so they're not even in the same geographic area as their friends. Where I know that some, kids on the block still probably play together or see each other, and it's a lot harder for them right now. My son turns 11 this weekend, so at least he'll see some friends this weekend. Possibly, they'll come by and we'll mask them up and put them in plastic bubbles, and they could have the weirdest birthday party ever. Have you, Donovan?
Well, today was the kids' first day of school. They were so excited to go. My son was up at 5 a.m. because he was so excited. Get to go to school.
Now, this is physical school, right?
Yeah, physical school. It's it'll be interesting because honestly, it's only a matter of time before somebody gets sick, and once somebody gets sick, like, it's all gonna switch to online learning. So they're enjoying it while they can. But I went to go see a movie in the theater.
I am extremely jealous because I want to see that movie really badly.
It was.
You see Tenet?
I saw Tenet.
Hmm.
It was weird because I was the only one in the theater. I may have been the only one in the building. I mean, only patron in the building. There was like workers, and they have a new hygienist leader and I don't know. They've got a new system in place where every half hour they're going and spraying everything down, and they've got I don't know the word for it. Not butlers, but like just people that are always there and always cleaning and always doing stuff. But went to go see Tenet.
Sanitary specialists.
Sanitary specialists, we'll call them that. And it was cool being in the theater again. I was like, I forgot how freaking loud it is to go watch a movie in the theater. But I went to go see Tenet. Fantastic movie. Yet I like Christopher Nolan as a director and as a writer, and so I tend to give him the benefit of the doubt in terms of like story structure and plot holes and things that just kind of don't make sense on first viewing. And Tenet is definitely a movie where you have to watch it more than once, because the whole movie is about inversion, and so the first half of the movie is going forwards while the last half of the movie is going backwards.
It's like Memento.
And it's in the trailer. Like there's nothing I'm saying that's a spoiler.
Yeah, but I want you to tread carefully.
Yeah, but there's so much that happens that you're like, wait a minute, was that in the first?
Sure.
There's so much that like ties together that you don't realize it until the very end of the movie, and then you want to go back to the beginning to watch it all through to try and like
piece it together
the actual storyline. And I would love to have a movie breakdown or a spoiler cast like we used to do back in the day for Tenet, if you guys want to do that. If not, it's fine. We don't need to. But it was a great movie. It really was. Like I said, I give Christopher Nolan the benefit of the doubt in terms of his style over story. So it was a very, very cool looking movie, even though it was a little underdeveloped in terms of the character and whatnot. It was still fantastic to watch, even if it was by myself in a theater in a building. So it was cool.
So you had a personal screening. That's pretty nice.
I did. I had my own personal screening. It was I felt so bad. I bought like I bought like a little popcorn because I'm like, do you need money? Here, have $50. I felt so bad for him that I actually bought snacks, which I don't usually do at movie theaters unless my kids are with me. But it was cool. I'm excited to go to movie theaters again. If they decide to stay open. One of my upcoming projects after this playhouse is to actually build my own little mini movie theater with a projector and seats and everything like that. So it was cool to go back to a real one to get inspired for that project. And I have a prop. If you're not on the live stream, you can't see it. But this is the last piece of the playhouse. This is the weapon mount or the master sword. So this is the last piece before it's done. 4 months of working on this playhouse. And there's the last piece. I'm so excited.
I think you should take a bow.
I know. I'm finishing up on this project, and then it's going to be insane putting the video and all the supporting material together and trying to get everything out as fast as I can. But I'm excited that it's almost done. I'm a bit very busy.
Very cool. Speaking of videos, I just put out a video last week, and it was a video about Snapships. They contacted me because I had done the initial prototype video for them almost 2 years ago, and I was like, if they sent me out 2 sets and I did a review, and it looks like they liked them. So that one's done, and now I have to start on another sponsored video that I'm kind of dreading because it's with electronics, and that's always a little bit more of a challenge. I think I might kind of fib this one a little bit and kind of build it with kind of just a camera pointing without doing much talking, and do like voiceover after, and then kind of show it my usual way. I'm hoping that could kind of speed up the production process a little bit too. So
nice.
So, with having had the experience that you have had with sponsors and getting materials and projects and stuff like that, do you want to keep doing sponsored videos in the future, or do you like having the, I don't know, self control over the content of your videos and want to focus on that rather than going for sponsored content?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've been thinking a lot about this over the last couple of months because I've turned down probably at least 10 different potential opportunities, but they were all kind of the thing where actually it's a combination of different things where it's here we'll send you this thing for free, review it, put it on your channel, or it's here we're going to send you this thing for free, send us your proposal. We have to approve your proposal and then you can go forward with it. And it's really interesting some of the hoops you have to jump through to get some of these products. There was an air purifier thing that somebody was going to send me, a really like one of the big expensive units, and I typically wouldn't have even considered it, but I thought that'd be kind of cool to have in the shop when I'm running the CNC or the laser and something like that. And I pitched the guy the idea, and he's like, "Yeah, but can you do something even more outrageous and more out there?" I'm like, you know what? I don't think this opportunity is right. Thank you for the consideration. We won't be working together. I'm only willing to do so much. I really don't want to jump through hoops. This is not my full-time thing, and I'm behind deadlines anyways when I end up doing this stuff. So I have to pick and choose a little bit more carefully. I think at this point we all get these emails of, "Oh, here's this new security webcam that we're going to send you, and you can do a video." I don't want to be that channel. Unless I'm really passionate about the item itself,
Yep.
Like snap shifts, or it's really within the geek wheelhouse, I'm just going to start automatically passing now. I really don't want to turn into a toy channel. I don't want to turn into what's that kid's name, Ryan?
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't really want that. I still want to make things and build things and
We went to Target the other day and he has his own aisle.
Yeah, I know. It's funny as my son was yelling about it. Can't believe this kid gets this stuff. It's total crap, and it's kind of funny. He's 11, so I guess he's getting more opinionated now as he gets closer to being a teen. But yeah, I mean, I want to keep everything in kind of like in the geek wheelhouse, and I still want to make stuff and have more control. I don't necessarily want to be a review channel, unless it's 3D printers. Like, send me all the 3D printers. I wouldn't mind going down that path. It's just more my interest. That's kind of my response. No, I don't want to be a product channel. I don't want to do product reviews, but I'll make some exceptions for the ones that I really believe in and really like. So. All right, that's it, folks. Good night.
Let's see.
Have there been opportunities? I mean, because Wes, you told me about one earlier. What things have you passed on?
I get a couple from different electronics websites that are not of the higher caliber, I should say. Like, they have a good selection of stuff, and I have bought things from their website before, but some of their offerings, like, say, I would rather have some of the higher tier stuff, like 3D printers. I would review those, since I have done a couple higher end, like, object kind of shop tool thing reviews on my channel. That's more, I don't want to do a lot of them, like you say, but if it's something I'm going to use or something that people know that I have used in the past, then I would be more likely to do it. But random little tchotchkes and other things, I don't really, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't, it's just, now, that being said, if Nintendo or Lego wanted to contact me, sure, send me some stuff. Send me all the games you want, Nintendo. I'll do whatever you want. But that hasn't happened yet, so.
Yeah. I just got one today to do a video for Western Digital for a new SSD portable hard drive. But it's somehow it got on this mailing list with this company called I don't even know if I should say their name, but I'll say them. Techfluence. I don't know if you've gotten any of their emails. But you have to, do a submission form. You have to kind of like pitch them. and that's a product I would typically use, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's on brand for me.
How compelling is that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, and
Unless you,
I have a pretty good idea of how
yeah,
I could use it,
okay,
um, which is kind of besides the fact. But
yeah,
if I look at what I want to do with my channel, I think a lot of it has to do with starting to build a better audience or a more consistent audience.
hmm,
And I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do that by being all over the place by just trying to grab these different free items.
sure,
So
sure,
yeah.
I would agree with that.
Hmm. You know, the only proposal that I've ever gotten was for kitchen cleaning products, which I think is one of those generic emails that
Yep.
anybody gets. We have a fantastic opportunity for you. Kitchen cleaning product number one. Okay. No,
I've never gotten that. Should I feel left out?
I don't, that's the only one I've ever gotten, so
Oh,
Donovan's on the special list.
oh
I'm on
okay.
the special list.
But you got some deals when you went to Workbench Con though.
Um, yeah, I mean, nothing was sponsored. I did get some clamps, uh, and a wall control panel, but nothing was talked about. Actually, there was a few deals, quote unquote deals that were in the works that they've all fallen through.
Oh, okay.
There was
I've had
one
that too.
there was one with B&H Photo that I was so excited about. Oh my gosh, that would have been so cool. But that fell through the floor. I don't know if that one's ever going to come back. I hope it does. That would be awesome. But I'm not. I'm kind of. I don't want to say I'm bittered, but I'm at that point that it's like I don't put emphasis on that anymore because I don't think it's going to happen. Like I don't think I'm going to have anyone reach out saying, "Hey, we want to work with you," or I've stopped because typically in the past I've reached out to like every company that I could think of that I would want to work with in terms of coming up with project ideas and videos and all that other kind of stuff. And I've sent proposals to just dozens and dozens and dozens of companies that have all come back and said no. And I've just gotten to the point that I'm just like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to put the effort to go out to try and find sponsors because it doesn't work out. I don't have the numbers and I'm too niched and I understand like my limitations, so I don't want to waste my time anymore.
So I'm going to make a recommendation for you that a friend of mine made, who worked for a big marketing company in one of the bigger marketing companies in LA, and talking about how a lot of those deals work. Because have you ever seen well, what was it? You see it on some of the social media. Sometimes it's called like it was like Tasty, like the food recipe, or Cooking Pan, not Cooking Panda, or maybe it was Cooking Panda or something. He did their campaigns. He worked on their campaigns, and there was one for Hawaiian bread, the Hawaiian bread rolls that you see in the stores. Um, and he
Go
was part
on.
of that. Well, he was part of that deal, and somebody had done something and featured the Hawaiian rolls, and then the Hawaiian bread company reached out, and he was part of the one that helped facilitate that deal, and the person made a small mint off doing that. So the recommendation is to kind of change the approach where you don't go and pitch them beforehand, but you go and make something and feature their product, not necessarily as a review or as a commercial, but almost kind of spotlighting the use of it a little bit, and then have it make the rounds and get their attention that way.
Yeah, I thought about that before, but then I was like, I have to spend the money on all of the materials and the products.
Well, no, but I mean, so look, I mean, it's something as simple as like Total Boat, right? But I know that Total Boat, reached out to a lot of different people. Alumilite, we know some people that are working with them.
We do.
You know, Carolina Shoes. I mean, there's a lot of different companies within our realm that I think are a lot more accessible and more on brand for just being makers than the things that we do. I mean, thinking about Lego or some of the big names. I mean, that's a really tall order unless you have unless you're getting like 2 million views a month.
Sure.
But I think that you kind of change your scope of that influence, and I bet things would change. I mean, what if it was just like a simple like Leatherman or something that you use on a regular basis, like an EDC, your everyday carry. I think that you would see a more positive return faster on stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there are probably things out there that I haven't considered, but
Without spending money, because what is really lost with a couple extra shots of highlighting a product that you use to make something that you already have.
well, spending the money to get the thing to to highlight it in the video. I don't have a lot of stuff. I really don't. Like, I have a wall of tools that I've invested in over the past 3 years. And so if it's not on my wall, like, I'd have to go out and buy it. And it's kind of hard to justify. It's hard to justify the expense without.
That's not quite the approach I'm suggesting either. Unless it is a very specific brand that you know that you want to chase and work with.
Yeah, but like, for example, there was a competition a couple of years ago on Instagram that I won, and one of the things was a little woodpecker square. And I really like woodpeckers. They're made in the United States. They're good quality.
Yeah, they're fantastic tools.
They are. They're fantastic. They are way expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love them. I would never buy them. But it's like, but I would love to work with them.
Yep. Well, I think they're throwing all their money at Chris Salamone right now, but
yeah. And like I said, like, I just don't have the numbers, and I'm too niche. So, like, I know my limitations. I do. It's gonna be like, if I ever hit that point where I do have the numbers, it's gonna be weird if companies that I've talked to in the past that have rejected me in the past all of a sudden contact me because they want to work with me. I don't know how to handle that. I kind of had this thought about the other day. I'm like, if they've rejected me in the past and my content style hasn't changed and they want to work with me like now in the hypothetical future, like, they just want to work with me from my audience, not because it's me, not because of my content, not because of my videos, but because I can reach X number of people.
Well, sure.
And that's
Donovan, that's called business.
I know, but it's so disheartening, especially considering the fact that it's like, I have talked to a lot of these companies, and I have, like, made proposals for stuff that I would love to do with them, and and they've rejected me.
It's so funny that you have that attitude, because I mean, you're coming from a really cutthroat industry, so I don't know where the surprise is coming from.
No, well, I know, but like, was on the other side, so it was like, I don't know, it's different. It's different. It's a lot more personal when you're on this side of the equation, because it's like, I want it, like, I don't want to work with companies to get paid. This sounds so weird. I don't want to work with companies to get paid. I want to work with companies to develop a relationship with. I don't want one-off videos. Like, I want to be able to, like, work with a company for, like, a series of videos. And if I'm going to have a relationship with a company, they have to like me for me. Not because of my audience, but because they like my style, because they like my content, or they like what I build, my weird stuff, whatever. Like, they have to like that before.
So you've got the Peter Parker Spider-Man kind of quandary, right? Where, like, Mary Jane likes Spider-Man because it's Spider-Man, but Peter really wishes that she would like him for Peter, right? Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's all hypothetical in my head, and it will be until things change. So it's basically just having arguments and conversations with myself about something that will probably never happen. But it keeps me entertained sometimes.
I have no doubt that it will happen. I think that once you come out with a more regular video schedule again and just kind of put your head down and produce content, I think it'll happen.
I agree.
Yeah, a 4-month gap in between videos probably doesn't sit well with brands.
I mean,
unless you're Benueta, then you can get away with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're doing what he's doing, I mean, I'm sure the people would be knocking at your door too.
Hey, I'm building a house. It's not one you could live in. Still, still a house.
You're talking about the underwear model kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be a whole different conversation and a whole different podcast.
Uh-huh.
I'm really
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
No, no matter what, I think that Wes is still the big winner with the butt paste program.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I will ever get close to touching what you're able to do with them.
That's a loaded statement right there, sir.
It's true though.
It wasn't directly through them. It had an intermediary, but yeah. That's a weird. It's a weird association, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's really with fatherly, but
First
still.
fatherly, but yeah, and that's a good example. I wish I continued a relationship with those guys because I thought that something, the way they were talking, before they got as big as they ended up getting. Like at the point where I worked with them, they were already pretty big, but they just kept growing and growing and growing, to the point where like I was actually. For those of you that aren't aware, I made a video for Fatherly, which is like an online blog, like parenting blog. They have a website and they have a big Facebook following and other social media kind of things. And so they would get contacted by different parenting product companies, like stroller manufacturers or what have you, and they would negotiate some sort of project that you as a content creator would make something, and they would pay you, and you give them footage, and they create a video or they would create like a 1 minute stinger or what have you, featuring that product in the background or used somehow, because that's ultimately the company that's paying for it, is the product placement in a video that ends up being posted on their own blog and on their own Facebook page with something that you made. So I made a changing table that was like an astronaut NASA themed style changing table, and it had a diaper cream as the sponsor, effectively, that paid them, and then I got a portion of that. And that was the first time I ever negotiated for a project or what have you, and it was a lesson that you always pitch higher than you think, because I was like, oh, they'll never go for this. Like I talked to several other maker buddies and stuff, like asking what they thought, and I asked Izzy Swan. He told me this higher number. I'm like, I'm not thinking to myself, I'm not going to say that because that's just ludicrous. And then I went with the number that I gave them, and they didn't bat an eye. I'm like, oh, I guess I lowballed myself then, didn't I? Thinking there had to be there should be a negotiation in there to get as much as I could have. But it was a good lesson. But I actually worked with the CEO, I think, initially, with a conversation to like how they wanted the video to be and the content and all that stuff. It was with the CEO of the company, and then after a Fatherly, yeah.
Oh wow.
Like emailing back and forth and everything. And so after that, the company evolved so that it ended up being like a influencer manager or some other department that evolved out of within their company that did that sort of thing after that. So I sort of lost that personal relationship that I had with that person, right? Because I emailed them at some point later on saying, oh, I did some other projects or yada yada yada. What else would you like? Would you have anything else that you would like me to do? And he's like, oh, I'll be forward you to the person that does that now, kind of thing. And I kind of severed that. So I don't know. They feature some of my other stuff as well, but nothing as far as like a sponsor content. They got too big for their britches, I guess. But it's kind of a funny story, and I actually still have the footage that I can make as my own video. I just need to contact them, I think, before I released it. But yeah, if you look it up on Fatherly, you might find some geeksmithing videos that are kind of funny.
I watched it again recently, and it was
Did
a
you?
fantastic build. Yeah, I forgot how I came across it, but I saw it. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. And you did a fantastic job with it.
Thanks. They ended up doing like they were some of the companies that contacted me about the Mario Kart build, that they wanted to do like a re-edit, and re-upload on their own platform kind of thing, which is not uncommon now to do that. And it was at the time where my viewership of that video was so low at that point anyway, that it didn't really detract from anything. It's not like they were taking away. So I was like, sure, go ahead. And they did a re-edit of the Mario Kart thing. It was only a minute long. You could also find it on their Facebook page, and it's arguably better than my video as far as like punchiness and like, with the text. I think it's even like a square form factor that was popular, at the time for usability and whatever on phones and stuff. But yeah, there's one of those, and then they also did a re-edit of my Mario bookcase. So you can find all those on there, and they have millions of views, millions of Facebook video views, which I didn't get any revenue for, but it's fine. The last thing I did with them, they gave me, it was a couple years ago, they gave me control of their Instagram page for a week. And they were doing this to several other influencers, quote unquote, in different realms. Like the person before me was like a chef, I think, or something, and he had like a Instagram food page, and so he took over it, and then every day he would have like a post that had some sort of theme relating to fatherly, whatever they wanted him to say, and then also his own stuff. So I did that for a week, and that was interesting. They had way more followers than I did at the time. Like I think they had like 300,000 or something crazy followers on Instagram, but like had no engagement at all. So I would post something, and I would get like one message. And you would think that it was like Instagram stories. That's what it was. For 1 week, I did a different Instagram story thing. And
I think I remember you doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I only had like 1 or 2 comments directly to me. I don't know. It was surprisingly low amount of engagement for the amount of followers. So that was kind of interesting. I wondered if a lot of those were bots, just to beef up their actual stats. I don't know.
Like nothing but inflation.
Yeah. It had no community. It's weird.
Yeah,
because I don't think advertisers can determine that.
Yeah.
I
so.
I used to be a huge fan of Fatherly, like huge fan.
Yeah.
And I would always go on their lives.
Yeah.
And their lives didn't have a lot of people joining in on the lives.
No.
And it's just like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they were bots. I don't know. But yeah, I think I remember you doing that, because I followed Fatherly back, like, pretty religiously back then.
Mm-hmm.
Back when they would do, giving up our account to, so and so for a week.
Yeah.
I remember before you did it, there was a comedian that did it. And then he became like a pseudo spokesman for Fatherly, and then he became part of the team.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was a while ago. It was in the before times.
Anytime any of those companies ask you to use like parts of your videos for like a Facebook channel, ask for a fee. A lot of them won't say that we don't have money to pay. I got paid by a couple. I don't know if I ever told you guys that.
No.
I got paid out. It was like a standard $200 fee. So
interesting.
Yeah, for a video that was already like 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's more money I'm going to make off it in the next 2 months.
Right. Huh.
Yeah.
Personally, I despise aggregators. Anytime I ever come across like a woodworking or a maker aggregator on Instagram, I block.
Ted's Woodworking? Yeah.
Yeah, every account. If they have any kind of link in there to 16,000 plants for blocked. Like, I do not want them to have access to my content to use to make money. And it's terrible because these accounts have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers.
Well, the ones I'm talking about aren't those. I'm talking about a different one that's probably closer in line with Fatherly.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the hell with Ted's Woodworking. I'm not talking about that. No.
Well, I mean, even the Facebook page, like World's Best Woodworking, or
yeah, it's all the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all aggregation. That's all it is. It's people taking other people's content, reposting it, and making money off of other people's content, which I am not cool with.
Unless you get paid for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because if I was going to do it again, I mean, it has to meet like a certain criteria. The video has to be not really performing to begin with, and my justification would be it has to be at least 2 years old, and then I would possibly consider, okay, you can use that video.
Yeah, like a board panda or whatever it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
some other.
yeah,
Oh,
that's another one.
oh my gosh. That's another website that I haven't been to in a long time. On Crate.
I mean, it's
Man.
essentially Reddit. That's all Reddit is. They make money off other people's posts, effectively.
Yeah. Do they though?
Yeah,
Well, there is
that's where
there's
their
someone
audience comes from.
2 or 3 years ago, Reddit went through a pretty big shift internally, and that's when they brought in this one CEO that kind of rocked the boat. But it's also at that point where you start seeing sponsored posts in the feed because they were trying to monetize more, and that's when it shifted.
Yup.
So now they're really not that different than most other social media companies. They're not quite the rebel that they once were.
Hmm.
Maybe a little bit, but not as much.
You guys been geeking out about anything? Yeah? Should we talk about some announcements?
Yep, let's go ahead and
Let's do it.
turn
We can
the corner.
expand upon that a little bit.
Yep.
So Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct today. Did you guys watch any of that or see any of the aftermath?
I did my I'm gonna piggyback on because I think my geeking out is gonna be about the same thing. So
Let's do it.
yep, you can go ahead and introduce it.
You can go ahead. I like to hear someone else's
you
take.
You already started.
No, no, no. I'll pass it off. I'm passing the baton. We'll go around.
Girls, you're both pretty. Just,
People are tired of me talking about Nintendo stuff, so I like to hear someone else.
And I'm, you know what? I really like Nintendo. I have a huge appreciation for the company, the products, and actually I'm geeking out about something else, but I'll talk about this a little bit first. The products and for you know what I think I kind of respect them most is that they've, at least from what I can tell, they've kind of stayed true to their brand. I love that I can have my kids play just about any Nintendo branded game that is one of their characters within their universe and world, and know that it's going to be perfectly fine. And I kind of appreciate that kind of consistency and also putting out really, really good products. So Nintendo over the last 2 or 3 years, they've been doing these Nintendo Directs where they're communicating more directly with their audience, and I think this started around the time that they stopped taking part in like things like E3 and taking more control over like their entire ecosystem of how things are delivered. So every now and then they do Nintendo Direct, which I think is every month, every 2-3 months. I think there's like it's periodic. But this one was specific to the 35th anniversary of Mario, and they are just going all out. I think it's, if it wasn't for COVID and other things, it'd almost be like the year of Mario, where you think about the Nintendo set being released, the NES set with Mario being released, and then of course the interactive Lego set with a little Lego Mario figure, and then now you have the 35th anniversary editions of some games that are getting released. There's two different versions of what I think the Mario All Stars is getting released to the NES Online for the Switch. So if you have the NES Online account, you'll be able to play those. But they are also going to be releasing what is it called, Mario 3D Worlds?
Yeah.
That's Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 64, and Super Mario Sunshine, I believe.
Yep.
Which I've never played two of those three games, so it's something I would look forward to. This one's kind of fun.
which two?
I've only played Mario 64. I
Oh,
haven't played
you're in for a
Galaxy or
treat then.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them. It's
Yeah.
not like I don't know what to expect, and they look fantastic. But
Mm.
yeah, if I could ever pry the Switch away from my kids' hands, maybe I'll get a chance to play, because that's typically what they play. The one that caught my eye the most was I don't know if this type of product has a designation as a category yet. I think it does. It's kind of like an AR type of thing where it is a remote control Mario car that has a camera on it, and you're steering through a virtual track using your Switch. So it's really kind of the merging of the virtual world and the real world. And I don't know. I
Well,
thought
and
that
there's
was really
stuff
cool.
you set up around your house to
Yeah.
create
Well, yeah, it
track.
creates your virtual track.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's probably some sort of AR recognition of those.
Sign. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're called, but like the race markers or
Yeah.
what are they
There's a
called?
name.
Like checkpoints.
Checkpoints. Yeah.
So
Something like in pole position or those older
yeah,
games. Yeah.
but it looks really really fun. I've been looking forward to the time where I could sit in a chair or some sort of like pseudo cart with the VR goggles on and play Mario Kart in a real virtual experience. And I think this is getting one small little step close to that, and I think that's really cool.
It's basically like it's like a kid version of a drone racing league
Mm.
with FPV goggles. You know what I mean? It's like the intro
That
to
is a
that.
great analog, yeah.
Yeah. I just clicked into that. Huh. I wonder if they who knows how long this has been in development, but since they were a sponsor at Maker Faire and they had the Drone Racing League there too, which is a sponsor, I wonder if they were walking around and like, hey, I wonder, because that's basically what it is, and it's interesting, like the stuff that like they definitely are not afraid to experiment in different play styles and expand on what people's expectations, right? Like the Wii is a perfect example. Like they started like this whole, whether you like the motion control in games or not, they definitely changed the entire ecosystem with that one system and upended every other, you know, Xbox and PlayStation. Like, well, we're not paying attention to Nintendo because they do their own thing. But then they're like, oh wait, people are actually playing this motion control stuff. We need to jump on board with that. But we're not really paying attention to Nintendo. The company that actually, they all innovate to a degree, but they stay within their lanes of high performance gaming, internet connectivity, which is where some of Nintendo doesn't put their eggs in those baskets, right? Like a lot of their online services are not as robust and well developed feature sets, but they're not afraid of experimenting in lots of different realms. So it's kind of cool
No
that they're
two
doing that.
Nintendo controllers look alike.
That's true. Yeah, it's very
Like
true.
Xbox controllers look almost
Evolution,
identical.
yeah.
The evolution of like Nintendo as opposed to PlayStation, as opposed to like Nintendo, it's all over the place.
Yep.
But it's like PlayStation, like the controller almost looks exactly the same as the PS1, almost.
Yep.
It's sleeker and all this other kind of stuff, but it's the same controller. Like Nintendo, you've got the little
Yeah, the N64.
the N64. You've got the Wiimotes. You've got the Switch. Like
The
they're
Virtual
all
Boy is
different.
weird too. Yeah.
Virtual Boy is weird too. I mean, the closest two controllers would be the NES and the Super Nintendo, I think. Beyond that, like they're all different.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not for it.
Yeah, and that's that respect piece for me again, because they're not afraid to try to innovate, even if they have like a failure along the way. They're still not playing it safe. Nintendo Labo, I think, is a mild success, but I don't think it's a continued success.
Right.
The Wii was only, I mean, they sold a lot of units, but it's not remembered as fondly as they probably would have liked. Even like the Wii U, which I think is kind of...
I think I would disagree with the Wii.
Skyward, yeah, Wii, yes. Wii U, probably not.
Well, I think I'm saying that because I don't think it had the same longevity that... You guys disagree?
Not the Wii. The Wii U, I think, was
Yeah.
Nintendo's.
I know that too.
If they had, like, aside from the Virtual Boy, just because of, we've talked about it before, but like, the Wii U kind of flopped. The Wii was amazing. It sold out. You couldn't get one for like 2 Christmases straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Like...
I know that part, but what I was saying with longevity is that I think that people quickly switched. The newness of the Wii wore off, and the motion control, and that's when PlayStation, Xbox had a little bit more of that market share during that generation. It
Mm.
didn't have the same popularity. The Switch, on the other hand, I think is just blowing everything out of the water. I think they finally got it right, but they weren't afraid to innovate and
Yeah.
take those chances, and I have a huge amount of respect for that.
I mean, think back to rhythm games, right? Like
Yeah.
with Guitar Hero and Rock Band, that those sold oodles of copies. Had tons and tons of sequels and spin-offs and Lego Rock Band and Beatles Rock Band, Green Day Rock Band, Lego Rock Band, all these different things. And Nintendo, for the GameCube, they had Donkey Konga. You guys remember that? They had like two
Yep,
little
little
conga drum,
bongos.
yeah, little
Yeah.
drums. And people were like, "That's dumb. Why would you want to play that?" And that was kind of like, I think that was like the start of that sort of thought process of like, oh, a musical instrument with a game, huh? And then it just there. This is our test. Well, he had one game that supported it. I might have had some other games that used it in some manner or fashion, but that was like their experiment, right? And they do that all the time. I mean, Rumble and video game controllers in '64 was the first one. Like all these innovations, like 4-player, you know, connection. I mean, NES had that.
Yeah,
Super NES
NES
had
had
that. They weren't built
port.
in, and then N64 physically built in. I mean, all these things. They're not afraid of experimenting. And then they basically inject this fun DNA in like innovation into this ecosystem that other ones kind of reap for generations.
With the Mario Kart in real life, I think it's really cool. But I'm actually more interested to see what else
Yep.
they use that for. What is the next iteration besides adding just a couple more cars? Um, Maker's Portal said Star Fox in real life, so the drones we're actually doing the drones, but making it themed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could see the expansion of all those things. I think that'd be really cool.
I agree.
That's a port we haven't gotten a remake of
Ugh.
ever.
Star Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not very often. They keep remaking it for
Hey,
the
you forgot to
DS.
mention Mario Battle Royale.
Kingdom Battles?
Yeah.
I absolutely love that game. And I was one of the first to dismiss it as being stupid. I'm like, that's dumb. Why would I care about that? Because I didn't really love the Rabid franchise. I wasn't like enthralled with it. And then that game completely blindsided me. And it was probably one of my favorite Switch games still. I don't know. I'm not always right. But
So, is there anything else with the announcement that caught your attention, or is it worth bringing up? Because I think they showed what 3D Mario 3D World, some sort of expansion for that.
and they also
Bowser's
Yeah.
Fury, or
Yeah.
I don't.
and they also had a Game and Watch like standalone
Oh, that's
console
right. That's right.
portable thing, which is a novelty. It's just going to be bought up by scalpers on eBay that are just going to sell it.
Just recently, I almost went and bought one of those old Tiger Electronics games. You guys remember those from the 90s?
Yep.
I had a Bo Jackson one, and it was double sided. It had football on one side. You turn it upside down, it was baseball.
That's cool.
I had that when I was probably like 12 or 13. I almost rebought it off of eBay last week.
How much was it?
It was like $10-15.
You should do it.
I know.
Just show it to your son. Like, this is my game right here, and he's gonna be like,
I
"What?"
don't need to start collecting more crap, but I was really tempted because I had 3 or 4 of those games. I really liked them. It's like back in my day, this was a video game.
I never liked those.
I never liked them
I
either.
didn't
But I
have
mean,
a
what
lot of
choice
choices.
do you have?
Oh,
Yeah.
No, I know. I understand. Although, that being said, when I was a little kid, there was a watch that was Legend of Zelda, and it was Dungeons, and it was like the LCD, Pixie, super ghetto. But I remember sitting in class and playing my little Legend of Zelda watch all the time. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world because it was Legend of Zelda, it was portable, it was a game, I could play it in class. Like, cool. I wish I still had that watch. I went and tried to find a watch. I was like, man, I can't spend that much money on a watch that.
Yep.
No. But it was cool. I didn't like those those games that you were talking about, like the
Yeah, Tiger
football one,
Electronics. Yeah. Mhm.
Ninja Gaiden. I played that one a lot, and I was like, oh, this is terrible.
Radio Shack had a whole line of them too. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what we had. But like that being said, the Legend of Zelda Watch I thought was so absurdly cool. Don't know what happened to it. That's not one of those things that, survives at my parents' house for my kids to play with. Don't know what happened to that one.
The other thing I would mention that I was geeking out about this week, a couple things. So we'll do a little bit in-depth geeking out here. And you might have been going down this road, Sean, but have you guys watched High Score on Netflix?
That's exactly what I was going to bring
I
up
knew it.
because it is fantastic.
It's amazing. Yes.
Yes.
And it's voiced by Mario. Like, how much more perfect can he be?
I
I
don't think I knew
swore,
that.
what is
Yep.
it about?
It's just history of video games.
Huh.
And it's by Great Big Story, their YouTube channel. They're like the producers.
really?
They produced it, and it's fantastic. The visuals.
They make fantastic.
It's like, how many parts is it? Like six?
Six, I think.
6-part.
I want
so
more
good.
right away because
Yep.
I think they're covering it in a way that hasn't been covered before. I found stuff out that I'd never known before.
Me too.
Instead of there's been video game documentaries they'll do like a kind of a quick overview and they always hit the same notes. This is really telling stories and it's telling different stories.
Yeah, storytelling.
And I
not
can't
just
get enough of it.
not
And
just
the intro is
facts.
really cool.
Yeah, not just like a fact, like vomit, of all
Yeah.
these things. That did you know gaming? Da 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 da. Like, they
The
actually
first game was done on an oscilloscope or
right.
whatever it was.
They actually they dive into the actual people behind it and like, oh wow, I wonder what happened to that person and this and that and
I swear the one that talked about the Nintendo World Championship or whatever it is.
Yep.
It
Jeff.
transported me back
Oh,
to
dude.
when I was like 10 or 11.
Yep.
When I would read magazines, but I wasn't allowed to have a video game system. And all I could do was read about it and wonder from afar what it was like to actually have one and play. Yeah, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it to anybody listening.
The other one that I was going to bring up, there's a YouTube channel called Andymation, which I've geeked out about with you in the past, Sean. He does.
Oh, yeah.
He has flip books. He does It's an animation channel, but his deal is flip books, right? And he's kind of delved in. He does most of them like from scratch, where he like reviews ones that he did as a kid, and he's like a professional animator by trade, I believe. And then he just does this YouTube channel with it. And he was his most recent video, he was talking about an item he collected that was in the form of a card that I'm sure many of us out there remember, and I have lots of good memories about it, which were Garbage Pail Kids cards. I don't know if we ever talked about them on the channel, on the podcast.
No, we haven't.
But I loved them as a kid, and I loved
did
them
too.
because they were so inappropriate, and my grandparents hated them. That made me love them even more. Like, I think they came out when I was like in first or second grade or I don't even remember. It was like way back.
It's roughly
The first-
1984, 1985.
Yeah, I was around 5 or 6 years old. I remember like looking at them, like in the corner. Like, I think I was like in a daycare, like after school, like daycare kind of thing, while my grandparents were at work, and I would just like look at them, and I remember getting them like taken away because they were like supposed to be banned or whatever, and they're just so stupid too. And he did a video where on some of the cards on different series they had a possibility of getting part of a flip book, like a page of a flip book per like, let's say they had like the series 12, they had all these different designs, all this different art. They would have this one flip book and you have to collect all the different pages for it. And he had a book that was partially completed as a kid, and he was like, I'm just gonna find them. And he bought like several series before that and that one, like of the years like 12, 13, 14 of the series of these cards, and he bought like the actual display boxes that you would see at like 7-Eleven that had like the fold out thing on the top, and it was just packages and packages and packages of Garbage Pail Kids cards. And the video is him just opening all of them, and each one came with a stick of gum because it's sold by Tops.
Oh,
Which
that's
is-
right.
Yeah, they had like,
Nasty.
and so he's like, well, this one doesn't look too bad, and he actually like put it in his mouth, 30-year-old stick of gum, And so it's just, I won't ruin the video, but it's fantastic. It highly recommended. Big nostalgia trip, a lot of fun, and he's got some other great videos. He has a really good one that was about like making things and kind of the struggles about making things when you're not feeling like into it and all that stuff. He kind of delves more deep into the creative kind of struggles and imitation syndrome a little bit here and there, and it's a great channel. I would recommend it. It's called Andymation on YouTube. But yeah, I was geeking out about that, and so the last part of it, I actually ordered. He mentioned a book on the video. It's put out by Topps, and it's like the first series of Garbage Pail Kid cards, full page, like reproductions of the cards, like super high res images. And I bought it, and I just got it today. And I was like flipping through it, and it had like Andy, well, what was it? The atomic bomb one. What was his name? He's like the most popular Garbage Pail Kid card.
Yeah, because it's
Nuclear
atom bomb.
Atom bomb.
I'm
Thank
looking
you.
at it right now.
Yeah, and like that was the one that stood out, and like I was like flipping through it just for 5 minutes today. I'm like, oh, I remember that one. Ooh, that's so nasty, and I'm like so looking forward to showing that to Samantha, because she loves like Captain Underpants, which is sort of like a super watered down version of that, because they kind of have like gross out, to me, they have like gross out humor. They talk about farts and pimples oozing and all this stuff that's sort of, I think you could trace its roots back to this, and I think she would get a kick out of that.
This was hilarious because I remember the Garbage Pail Kids were created to make fun of Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah.
It was a complete parody. And
Yeah.
man, these are going for a lot of money. I didn't know that these were such a huge collector's item.
Yep. And the book even
Wow.
has like they're like interviewing apparently like some of the people that created them, the artists, the original artists and stuff. So I'm looking forward to reading that. The most random
That's
thing I
really
never
cool.
thought I would buy, but a Garbage Pail Kids retrospective, I guess. But
And Donovan, what are you geeking out about?
So I like journals and planners, quite a bit, like quite a bit.
wow.
I've
Jeez.
I burn through them pretty quick, whether it's like project ideas or notes or a lot of them have to do with like storytelling, story structure, filmmaking techniques, color theory, just just all kinds of stuff. But they've always been like most of the time they've been products of my own creations because I like adding pictures and drawing stuff and adding little clip out of magazines or if I come across something or I print it off, print a picture off the internet and add it, that kind of thing. But I've never found a planner or a journal that I like for me. But I found one that I think is amazing. It's if you've seen my video on Instagram of it, you know what it is. But it's this. It's called the Hero's Journal. And what it is it's like. Do you guys remember when the Franklin Day Planner was like really big?
Yeah.
And it was all about like daily task lists and assessing your goals and setting priorities and all that other kind of stuff. Well, this is kind of like that, but cartoonized, and it's fantastic.
What is it called?
It's called the Hero's Journal, and it was made by a couple of guys that literally just got together and designed this this journal that frames your goals in the context of going on a quest. And so you're the hero of your quest. And so it leads you through story structure of like finding your villains, finding your allies, finding like your conflicts and focusing what you want to accomplish like it was an adventure, like it was going on your own little quest. And so you have to go through and do all these little setup projects to figure out what your North Star is, what your goal is, what your quest is, who your allies are, like what kinds of things help you accomplish your goals, who the enemies are, what kinds of things distract you from accomplishing your goals. But it's all framed in this framework of a story, of being hero to your own story. And I think that is so cool because it's taking story structure and creativity and mixing it with a planner, and it is awesome, and I love it, and I have been geeking out about it every day, because every day I go in and I fill out that day's stuff, and I think it is so cool because in terms of like me and my content and what I like to do and the storytelling aspect and creativity and all kind of stuff, this is right up my alley. And so anybody that has that inkling of like creativity or like story structure or anything like that, I think would love one of these. It's called the Hero's Journal. Fantastic. Just so cool. So you should check it out.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know what else is fantastic? People that send us questions on our website.
Love the segue. That was great.
I like segues. One time I rented. No, that's wrong.
We have a contact page on our website where we field questions from guests. Anything that, or not really guests, but listeners of the show, if you have any questions for us or any suggestions for the show, you could leave them there. And on the homepage of the site, you could listen to all of our past episodes right there in your browser, makinggeeks.com.
And all of us are on social media, so come check us out if you don't already do. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably know all of us. But if there is a slim chance that you don't and you want to get a hold of us, Sean could be found at Geek Builders. Wes is found at Geek Smithing, and I'm found at Once Upon a Workbench.
And we'd like to take this opportunity to thank our friends over at our Patreon page at patreon.com/makinggeeks for keeping the show on the air with their contributions each and every episode that we put out. We appreciate every one of you, especially our top patrons, Square Splinter, Jordan Rimple, and Clinton. Thank you so much.
Cool. Well, we want to thank everybody that was listening in the live chat and participating on the show that way. We love seeing people kind of listening along and responding as we're doing the show. And you can find new episodes of the show every Saturday on your favorite podcast player of choice. So from all of us to all of you, have a fantastic week.
See ya.
Have fun.
Go watch High Score. It's fantastic.
Yes.
On Netflix.
Go get Netflix. And then watch High Score.